I want to welcome everyone to Discover ADAC, our second day of fall market. I'm Katie, General Manager here at ADAC. Sorry we're getting started a little bit late, so I'll run through my housekeeping items really quickly. But I just want to remind everyone to grab a copy of the event guide. We have 2 really big days of market coming up, lots of events going on all day long, and I want to make sure that you're registered for everything that you want to see. In the back of this event guide, there's also a list of all of our new showrooms, our newly renovated showrooms, and our newest 242 Design Studios, where we have 12 new offices, design firms that will be officing with us on campus every single day. So go check everything out. Today, remember, if you have a lunch appointment at one of the showrooms, that's great, but if you don't, we have a new restaurant next door at ADAC West. That's Krog Bar Coal Fire Pizza. It's Kevin Rathman's new restaurant, so go check that out. Of course, the Hungry Peach is always available as well. Have some fun with us this week on social media. We use the hashtag this week, Discover ADAC, and our handle is @ADAC Atlanta. So be sure to tag us. All of the handles for our speakers, our media partners, and our showroom vendors are all in this event guide too. So make sure you tag everybody, have some fun with us. We'll reshare, and we'll show the world how much fun we're having. I want to thank Steve McKenzie for bringing us this week's stage decor. Of course, all of the product came from here at ADAC, and if you'd like to know where any of the sources, where his sources are, there's a source sheet in the back of our presentation room. There's also LUXE magazines here as well. Lots of great things for you to pick up. Today, I want to thank our showroom sponsor, that's Design Galleria Kitchen and Bath Studio. Our media partner today is LUXE Interiors and Design. Don't forget, after this presentation, we will go to Design Galleria, Suite 234, for a reception and book signing. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Jill Cohen, Editor-in-Chief of LUXE.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. I feel like ADAC's been my second home for a while with so many friends and authors here. And I'm very excited about today for many reasons. One is I would like to welcome our new Southeast editor at LUXE, Jennifer Bowles. Hi, Jennifer. We're so excited to have her here, so make sure you go introduce yourself. But my panel today is very special because I have a deep personal relationship with each of them. And when I was asked to do a panel here, one of the things I thought about was how we continue to evolve. And in interior design, you're always changing. You're always changing, staff changes, you're working with clients and their life is changing, and everybody goes through different phases in business. And because we have a lot of people in the trade here, I think it's always interesting to hear about business evolution. So these three really have amazing stories, and I've had the good fortune of working with all of them. Marshall Watson, New York-based interior designer, beautiful books on, elegance. And Marshall and I have worked together for years. I
call her my professor.
And he'll
she
tell
taught me so much about it.
And he'll tell a lot of stories today about the evolutions going on in his business and how he started. And Susan Ferrier, most of you know Susan, local Atlanta star, and with kind of a very interesting new chapter in her career, and developing her new furniture line, which is exquisite. If you haven't seen it, you must. And you have to listen to her Business of Home podcast. It's just one of the best. And then Marcus Mohon is here from Texas, Mohon Interiors, and he just published his own beautiful book. I had the pleasure of working with him on that.
I call him my rabbi.
So Happy New Year.
Yeah, exactly. And as you'll see over there, all three of them have had recent covers of LUXE. Marcus on the far left, his Texas project, redesign of LUXE, and then Marshall's in the middle of Palm Beach, and Susan's on the far right in Southeast. And I always say, it's not like I'm publishing my friends. I'm just fortunate to have
Yes, you
very
are.
talented friends. So anyway, so let's get started and take us back, because all of you had interesting beginnings. And Marshall, let's start with you. Back to the moment you kind of decided interior design was your path, or the little
Well, I'll start from the day I was
detour
born.
of the path. Okay. Yes.
So I grew up in Kansas City. I was the kind of kid, Susan and I were talking earlier about how, as designers, we're expected to know everything. And when I was a kid, I loved art. I was a painter. I was a sculptor. I dreamed that I would be an actor, a singer, a dancer. I wanted to be a scientist. I loved astronomy. I loved all these things. My mother always said to me, John Marshall, focus on one thing. God damn it, it's everything else. I'm from the Midwest.
Wow.
And so then I lived in Denmark for a while, and it was the first time I actually came in contact with interior design, because the Danes really think from the point of their homes are very important to them. I went to Stanford, and I studied, once again, I studied so many things. I studied engineering, art, design, theater design, and acting. I did all of those. And I came out, and I really wanted to be in the world of design. I'd been trained theoretically in design. But I came out, and it was, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but there were gas lines. There were no jobs, very similar to a couple of years ago. There were no jobs for designers. And I was in San Francisco, and I needed a paying job, and I could act, so I got jobs as acting. And then I went, from there, I actually went into more theater design, because everybody thought, well, you're in acting and design, so you should be a theater designer. And I studied that, and it was wonderful. It taught me all about research, and going from, understanding that a Henry V play is not like a Neil Simon comedy. You have to do the research. You have to understand everything from architecture to costume design to lighting, all these things. But then I decided I would go into the field of acting. This is a long story.
It's a good one.
I would go into the field of acting, so I went into the American Conservatory Theater, which was a very serious and wonderful regional theater in San Francisco. And I acted in the company, did Shakespeare and Chekhov and all that. And an agent scouted me to come to New York. I came to New York and never wanted to live in New York, hated New York, and loved San Francisco. And I ended up on a soap opera. So within 2 weeks...
Wait, was it As the World Turns?
I was on As the World It was the precursor to reality TV.
Wait, which character were you?
I played Ernie. I was a computer Lothario, knew nothing about computers. When I was on the soap, I really knew that I loved design. I was on Broadway and off Broadway. I was in one of the famous flops, Teaneck Tansy, The Venus Flytrap, where I acted opposite to Deborah Harry. She was on her way down, and Andy Kaufman, 3 months later, committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
It was rough. It taught me a lot about the world of acting. I had no control over where my career went. But I also loved design. I was passionate about it. So I enrolled in FIT, in the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. And I was always trying to get my scenes done really early so that I could get to FIT for my classes. And there was one other actor that I worked with there. And she was trying to get to Columbia because she wanted to be a journalist. And I'm Marshall Watson, but her name was Meg Ryan. She was smart, and she was a really great actress. But in any case, Meg Ryan became Meg Ryan, and I went into the world of interior design. I worked for several different designers, and then decided that I wanted to launch my own firm. So that's what happened.
Amazing. And what year did you launch the firm? Or, no, I won't
Don't
ask
me the
okay,
year,
but
Jill.
that,
It was a
okay.
long time ago.
Okay.
It was a long time
All
ago.
right. Anyway, I was around then too.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I know.
So I love that because, you know, your foundational, all of your elegance and all of your homes are so different, and, you know, you can feel Shakespeare in some of them, and you can feel,
Well,
you
well,
know,
I'm
a soap
here
opera in others.
to say that, you know, we've all had careers.
Yes.
Before this, and they feed into, acting taught me so much about understanding people and understanding the soul of people. Theater design taught me how to do great research and to understand a variety of styles. So it really allowed me and my firm to work all over the world because we could understand Sweden, we could understand Mexico, we could understand Kansas City.
So Susan, you have a great beginning, and you have to talk about the clinic too.
Okay.
All right.
I think I'm just going to talk about the things that I used the most when I got into interior design.
Yes.
I too have had a varied path, and I think that that's a function of I never had the confidence to do what my heart told me to do. And as soon as I realized that I was going to fail at everything unless I followed my heart, that's when I decided that interior design was the place that I needed to be. The job that I had before this, the career that I had before this, was an infertility clinic. They hired me to answer the telephone. Within about 6 months, I was running the place.
Not a surprise.
By running the place, I mean I had to have those difficult conversations with people about money and about emotional things, like how much is it going to cost for me to have a baby? So the doctor would always get very upset because they would be more open with me, and they would cry with me, and they would share their fears and their anxiety and their hopes. And I actually was a good listener. And everything that I learned about human nature either came from waiting tables, tending bar, or this infertility clinic. Because when you know, because most of you probably are interior designers, you get it all. So you get it all.
Well, I love the tie too, when you're
Yes.
sitting down now with a client and they want to know what it's really going to cost.
And I have to say, you're going to have to remortgage your house.
Right.
You can't say that in interiors. In order for you to furnish your house, you've got to remortgage it. I mean, I haven't tried that
Ooh,
yet.
let's
You
do
want-
it.
You will do
Let's
it.
try
You
that.
want to try that?
We can up the budget that way.
Or marry better.
Well, I love the story in the podcast because it's a full hour. You get to hear all the details. But the parallel of saying to somebody, you've got to go all the way and pay for the baby
Right.
is like finishing, the last layer of a home.
You have to be a closer. So, the end goal is to have a baby.
Yeah.
The end goal is to have a furnished home.
One process is more fun than the other.
Well, I do
Sorry.
tell people,
Did I just say that out loud?
Marcus, I always tell people that the month before installation is the 9th month of pregnancy. You hate everybody. Everybody's wrong. Things smell funny. It's
You're living in fear of that final
right.
moment, right?
what's going to happen
What's it
on
going to
the
look
day
like?
when I walk through the door.
Right.
So that's
So funny. What a
And it's
parallel.
very interesting being a closer
Yeah,
because you have to understand that we are not a not-for-profit organization.
right.
I mean, it's the reality.
Yeah. So Marcus, take us back to your early years.
Yeah, I think part of it is I fell in love. I mean, that sounds so sappy,
No.
but I was selling antiques, trying to decide what I was going to do next, and I met my wife, and she had just turned 20 by 3 weeks. I'm 6 years older than she is, so
Wow.
almost scandalous.
Yeah.
That's why we still wrote checks. I remember standing in the grocery store and forgetting how to write a check. And she was in school, and so I had majored in economics and was going to go to law school, and she helped me discover what I was going to do. And then so I picked my design school near where she was, and then eventually after the tech bubble burst, I was working for a design firm in Austin for a guy I'm still friends with, and the tech bubble burst in Austin, and she was out telling people we were starting our own business, because I'd been cut to half
Your wife
time,
was.
and and I was like, we're not starting our own business. But she'd grown up with this entrepreneurial father, so she's always had this kind of almost prophetic vision for where we're going. So we went out and started our own business September 1st, 2001, 10 days before September 11th. And all three clients we started with in the middle of a recession all canceled their projects.
Oh my God.
And it was really the partnership, which will lead to something I think we're going to talk about in a little bit. But it was, hey, if we can make it now together, we can make it at any time.
One question I have for you, when I came to visit you, I still have the vision of you with your standing desk and your watercolor, and your computer, and you're like walking, painting, and, zooming simultaneously. It was like, wow.
I don't have the treble on why I'm painting.
I know.
You make that sound like
But the painting was so incredible, and of course, all of you, if you've seen any of his work or this new book, it's like the art is beautiful. But was that part of your early years? Did she know you were an artist, and how did that play in?
I mean, that was the only thing. My dad was one of my best friends, and the only thing he told me I could not major in the first time around in college was art. And so I went,
too.
yeah, so I went through all these things, and ironically, it would have been closest to what I'm doing now.
Same here, too.
And so when our second son, we have 4 kids, when our second son came to me and said, he'd heard that story so many times. He said, Dad, I'm going to major in art. And I was like, oh my God. What? And I was like, yeah, let's go. Because, you can't. And he just graduated and has a job with a prominent antiques shop in Austin. So I thought, this could go, it could go full circle.
Unbelievable.
But I was drawing since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And we're about to be empty nesters, so imagining, I'm trying not to jump around too much, but the evolution, what's the next phase, and do we want, Susan and I were talking about, we love what we do, but how do we expand it? And I'm like, I'd love to paint all the time.
Yeah.
But I still have to pay for 1.5 more college
exactly.
careers.
If money wasn't an object, it was so easy. All right, well, we're going to come back to that, but let's go in the middle. We started at the beginning. The middle question is, share a highlight of your career, a milestone, a turning point, something that moved the needle. I mean, you've all had so many accolades from, covers of big magazines and...
For me, the first time I was published was a really big deal. When I was in school and they went around the room and they asked everybody, what are you hoping to get out of interior design? I didn't think twice. I didn't even think about how obnoxious it sounded. The first thing out of my mouth was, I want to be published. And my instructor looked at me like, wow, you think a lot of yourself. But I will tell you that being published, and you understand this, Jill, it means so much on so many levels. It means that you have the acceptance and the respect of your peers, your community, that you complete things, that you can do beautiful things.
It's a validation.
It is a very validating.
Yeah.
So
it's 100% my favorite part of this job I have now, where somebody, a young guy in Texas, I saw him filming himself in a car crying, looking at his first cover.
Oh.
And I was like, that was worth 300 hours on Zoom this week. Marshall, let's talk about a milestone moment for you.
Oh, God.
In interior design, when all of a sudden you realized, you were recognized or something.
I don't know if it was recognized. It was just, I felt when I built my own house, and Paul and I bought this property in East Hampton. We did not have a pot to you-know-what in. And I had to do the architecture. I had to do everything in the house. I didn't have a choice, and it was a great expanding experience for me, because I really understood what clients went through, and I understood budgets, and then I also understood the world that was out there for me to select from. But I also think that publishing my first book, I remember Stephen Drucker, who was a well-known, he said, life will never be the same once you've published your first book. Because the magazines, and I agree, the first time I was in a magazine, it was incredible. But when we published our book, it was like we could see our work. We could suddenly see our work all together. And years of people not knowing what we really did, the book actually brought to fore what we could accomplish.
And what a beautiful gift. You have probably all seen this incredible book that's out right now on Hampton's Gardens, and the cover of that book, which they had so much to select from, is your house.
Yeah. Well, the other side I have to say is
There it is.
gardening.
This
There's
is
my
this
garden.
is this is it.
That's my house that I designed, and then there's the garden.
And his garden, which yeah.
And there's I know it's kind of funky, but the great Japanese proverb that says that life begins the day you start your garden. And
Beautiful.
I believe in that too.
Beautiful.
When I had come to this, I thought, this is about reinvention, and I just want to make this comment. If you're an interior designer, you're reinventing yourself all the time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You really are reinventing. And my latest reinvention, of course, was when I started my own firm.
Yes.
That
yes,
was a really big reinvention.
Yes.
Because you have to be prepared when you reinvent, not only to adapt, but to fail miserably in front of an audience. And that was my fear, but thank God, I had the support and the strength
Yes.
to not.
It was a very interesting part of your podcast, because really the question is, and so many people think about it, going out on your own. It's not for everybody. There are some people who like the protective nature of having
Right.
a leader and not dealing with other things.
Like the accountant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's the right side of our brain.
It's a big, brave step, and I love, your perspective on that in the podcast.
Well, you get to a point in your life where you want it to count for something. So I don't have children, but I have a body of work, and I want my body of work to represent me, and I want credit for it. It was a really deep personal decision, which I was willing to fail for.
Love that.
So,
Marcus, your milestone moment.
Oh gosh, I mean, it's kind of some of the same ones, but one in conjunction with the book.
Yeah.
So I think that when we had the first dinner, before I had the big premiere party, when we had 2 clients that had taken a risk on me before we had anything to show, and my now grown kids, I can't say I have 3 boys and a girl anymore because they're men.
Right.
But I had my kids, their spouses, my mom, all these close people to sit there who they're all acknowledged in the back of the book. And so to be able to sit there with them, because they've all been fans along the way. And they've been my cheerleaders.
Yeah.
So it was a moment to be able to celebrate the relationship with all the people who helped get me to that point.
it's like
Yeah.
winning an Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah.
The support system. It's amazing.
Susan.
And I never thought, sorry, I never
ahead.
thought, the other thing, it always took encouragement. You talk about the design community. I have a good buddy, he's a modernist, Grant Kirkpatrick.
Yeah.
Close friend of mine, and he kept saying, "You're going to do this." And I was thinking, I can't do this. Yeah, that's never going to happen, and just on the other side of it to go, oh, if you think you can't, why
Well,
not?
our first conversation, this is part of the evolution. Marcus called me probably during COVID.
Yeah.
And said, Greg Tankersley told me I should get in touch with you, because, I'm looking at my
He always said,
branding.
Jill tells me to do this. And Jill said, I was like, who is Jill? Is this Mr.?
But you said, I'm not ready for a book. I'm not calling you about a book. I'm just thinking like my branding needs, an upgrade, et cetera. And it was during COVID, and we said, let's do some Zoom calls and we'll look at everything. And you know me, how terribly honest I am.
She was brutally,
Yeah.
it was great. I love it. Because she was like, your website's awful. And blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
she
And
did.
she was totally right. And she was so nice in it, but I love that.
Well, but the thing is,
Yeah,
we
well,
hadn't
Jill
looked at it in
also
7
talked to
years.
me 5 years before I actually started working on my book. She talked me out of doing the book.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because
Well,
you
you
know.
know-
She was so good at it.
so
No.
yeah, right. So Marcus had these beautiful watercolors and these beautiful homes, right? And the website is horizontal, so there was no ceiling. You can see, the beautiful ceilings. There was no ceiling and no floor, and there was a slice of the middle of the sofa. And I was like, well, where's the room? And he's like, well, it's a horizontal.
Well, you know what? I thought she was right. I hadn't looked at the website in 5 years. We were working.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
we had kids in high school.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's what happens. But anyway.
She was right about everything she said.
But
So,
by encouraging, and I've done this with all of you, better photographers, better, like.
Stylists.
I always say 99.9% of the people never see your work. I mean, only the people that walk through the houses you do. The only way you can show your work is through photography, publishing it yourself or online or wherever. And if you're going to cut corners there, you're cutting corners on your reputation.
Everything needs to look like you.
yeah.
And it should look better. You've got to hire people who are at your level. If you are getting paid and have a professional business, you're not going to use your sister-in-law's brother's friend who has a camera. You're going to use a professional who gets paid like you do to do excellent work. And look at Marcus's drawings that then, translate into the vision for the home.
I didn't know you drew.
Yeah, I did all the watercolors.
I didn't know that.
It's the one thing I did since I was 3. It's why I should have majored in art.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Who'd he hire?
so let's talk about, because all three of you are kind of in an evolutionary moment. I mean, you're on your first book tour, you're, traveling around, you've got, become a national name. Susan, your furniture line is exquisite, so exciting. You were the hit of High Point last season and coming up for another one, right? And Marshall, you've just taken in the 3 women that worked for you for a long time as your partners. And evolution
Well, I
of the
can-
firm, evolution of
Yeah,
life.
it
But
is an
let's talk
evolution
about that.
because I won't name my age, but I'm the grandfather in this area. But I also don't have children, and I've had 3 women who've worked with me for over 20 years. They're wonderful. I have tried as much as possible to mentor them, to give them, and they have in turn given me back 1,000-fold. And I want them to be very successful. I did in the beginning of my career. It took me about 20 years before I really, really started doing projects that I really wanted to do, because I didn't work for someone else. I started. If I had to go back, I would have liked to have worked for a really terrific designer for many years and learned how to fail on them, not on me.
There's no failure.
But well,
Costly
maybe not. In my case, there's some pretty ugly stuff I've done. But it's very important for me for their. That they can step up, and they've all stepped up to the plate. And it's been very interesting in the evolution because they really have taken a new interest in the company, because now it's all of our company, and they really have invested themselves, and we're flying, and it's exactly what I wanted. And they have each of them now have 2 children, because this morning Kate is now a mother of her first daughter. As of this morning,
Yes.
Jill and I just got the picture.
We shared because Melissa,
And we are like we're like the parents of
JCA, Marshall Watts, and Lux just had a baby.
and I don't know how my partners do it, but they each have 2 children, and they juggle all that. They have families. They're taking care of their parents, but they're also taking care of their children. They have very full lives, but they're extraordinarily talented, and they're flying.
Marshall, will you bring up the fact that when you decided to become a partnership, the many challenges that faced? I mean, we like the 3 women maybe had never intended to be partners with each other. Maybe their goals weren't the same at that time. And you had a vision for what you wanted this big firm to be. And I'm always interested because I know, Andrew's here and lots of our other people we've worked with, and Suzanne, everybody, where you've had stars and people, and you have to bring them up, and you have to make partnerships, and and I've worked with so many firms that the owner's vision might be a little bit different than the staff vision. So talk about that.
You're absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I know that, and I have seen how in many firms in New York, the various designers are going to go off and start their own firm, and I understand that. And the way I had always structured my firm was that I was the executive designer, and that I was the hub of the wheel. And then each of them, I would work with each of them individually, because I was interested in their visions and their strengths and what they would bring to the table and to my clients. And I wanted to not only support it, but feed it and help it grow. So they were very different in their approaches. I mean, one is very technical, one is extremely, has a very pretty sensibility, and the other is whacked out. So I won't tell you which one. But I wanted them all to express their individuality in our firm, and I was always the editor. It's part of the reason why when Jill looked at my book, my work the first time, she said, everything's so different. And I said, because I have so many different influences, and of course we work all over the world. And then I had to bring them together. And they were not used to that. But I knew that each of them was a wonderful soul. They were all great women, strong, and they were better they would be more successful as a group rather than they would be as individuals. And it took 3 years it was not, oh, suddenly we're going to become partners. They were very excited in the beginning, like, wow. And then the reality hit that, as you were saying, the accountant, the rent, all of the various things that they had to understand, insurance, and also being in New York.
What I want to talk about is not to belabor Susan and McAlpin, but in your podcast you were asked, because when we met you were part of McAlpin, and Dennis asked you about, going out on your own, and you said, it was years of thinking, and I thought,
It was.
I thought, but
Because you all had such a great
But I love that
relationship.
now both of you have this perspective of things turn out to be what they should be.
That's
But
right.
Susan, why don't you talk a bit about, and you should talk about your furniture, because that's kind of the exciting, I love the way you said, you designed this without a committee. So talk a little bit about being part of a firm and then on your own.
Well, first thing is, I thought about it for a solid 5 years before I left.
Yeah.
Wow,
5 years.
it's a long time.
It's hard to
Big decision.
extricate yourself from relationships that you've invested a lot.
And good relationships.
Yes. So I thought about it for 5 years. And I finally did it, and it's great. And then the furniture line comes. And I was not prepared. You want to talk about a milestone moment? I was not prepared for when you walked into that showroom and everything in this huge room was something that came out of your heart, your head, and your hand. Suzanne, you certainly know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't prepared for, oh my God, this is like religion? I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? I was that
Yes.
moved.
Yes, yeah.
And then when I was talking to Dennis Scully about it, I realized that there was no one else's influence, on those basics. I know I talked a lot with Mary Alex on my team about it. What do you think? What do you, over here? But I know when I first started doing it, I thought, what do I need?
Yeah.
So
Right,
I designed
yeah.
a chair that I needed and I couldn't find in the marketplace. So for me, to do something that 100% looked like who I was and the kind of design that I want to do, that was a really, really big moment. It was a legacy moment.
I was about to say, it looks like you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We hope.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah.
Can I say this too, though?
Yes.
I'm going to put the pressure on you. I've told Susan this for 5 years. She needs a jewelry line next.
Yeah, she does.
I mean,
That's not easy.
I know, but look how talented you are.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
serious. I just wanted to throw that
Yes.
out there. I think that should be your
Yes.
next evolution.
I love that.
I'm thinking rugs.
Okay. And then jewelry. Probably more profitable.
So Marcus, your evolution now, you're becoming an empty nester. Do you see any of the kids coming into the business or?
Not yet. They
Okay.
they kind of think my third son, who's an engineering major, he always looks at me, and I'm really into matching sets these days because it's easy to dress. And he's like, Dad, you have to stop buying those. Or he looks at the headshot, he's like, Dad, did they retouch your eyes? He's like, come on. So not really, but the one with antiques,
You
maybe.
should say yes, shut up.
Well, I did, maybe I did. I didn't tell you what I said. But so not necessarily, but I think they are our next evolution. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them eventually does. But if they don't, that's okay too. I mean, we're about to be empty nesters, and we're also new grandparents.
Right.
So
Oh, boy.
I think it's
that's a huge thing.
yeah. So we're looking at how do we reinvent? We have this stage in life. I'm reading all these books, but we have this stage in life for people at 55. 60 years ago, were preparing to die. No, seriously. With healthcare now, we live into our 90s. So
It's very.
You're offending
it's
some
very
of the people.
no,
So
I'm saying we're preparing. That was years ago.
Yeah.
And now
Right.
we're like, hey, we want to invest. We want to spend. I'm just saying. I'm reading the books. And,
Yeah, I know.
No, Marcus, when I was born, because
you offended by that?
I'm going to my reunion.
Yeah.
When I was born, the longevity, our life expectancy, which should have been 62 years old when I was born. That was what everybody
Right.
said. You're only going to live that long.
So with that in mind, we want to have an impact. And I think the evolution is trying to figure out how to do that, because it doesn't go without the life stages. What kids struggling, which parents are struggling. When I first met you, is when my dad was very ill, and he passed away. Now Autumn's dad is, he fell in Spain and had a traumatic brain injury while our book's coming out.
Oh, boy.
It's doing remarkably well, but you're juggling all these things along the way. And the next thing for us personally, I want to build a 1-bedroom house with a ballroom on the family ranch. I really do.
I was going to say, how is all of this affecting your work?
Yeah,
and your,
and I want to continue to make places that cram people together. I mean, really at the end of the day, because our family's close, I love to work with families that we make them collide by making the houses work that way. You've done that. I mean, there's this one woman I have an Instagram relationship with that was one of your clients. I followed because I follow you. And I don't even know her name. It's Hapa Mama is her Instagram handle.
Okay, yes.
And I've never met her, but we like each other's family stuff. And your work has, their family life is even better. And she did a little shout out for you recently.
Oh, really?
And I think so.
I think since COVID, the family compound has become here to stay. It's like people came back or moved in with their parents or whatever, and then I saw all of our clients that were doing books saying, oh, hey, so-and-so bought the property next to them for the kids
Right.
because we're a little crowded with them
The
in
legacy,
the house.
and they want the grandchildren and the children to come back and to be able to live with them and come for summers. You see it in all the different.
And we're doing a very interesting survey with LUXE has a very special edition. We've never done anything like this next summer, which is going to be kind of a luxury blueprint report of what's happening across the country. We have this unique vantage point with thousands of submissions coming equally from all these different regions. So we see an enormous amount of trends that follow. And what we're learning is on the demographics of like the 50 plus, the amount of money being spent on the outside of the property, guest house, pool house, cabana, party barn, the kids' properties, spending somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 on exterior landscape with outdoor kitchens and, these kind of more community where the family on the guest houses or the property or next door all comes together. And it's fascinating to see. It used to be that older people were downsizing and they were, going to the empty nest, and instead now they're doing
They're
the
upsizing.
compound.
Yeah, the compounds with different buildings so that the children and the grandchildren can be away, but then
heck
can
yeah.
come to the main building.
Yeah.
It's the best version of I Want to Be Alone. It's the best version.
I know. Yeah, children and fish after 3 days.
And you know, it's funny because obviously there's an enormous amount of wealth in young people, and I have a daughter who lives in California and, you know, near Silicon Valley, and that's crazy. They're all under 40 with these big houses, and the exterior is more contained. There's a pool with a cover, you know, the guests are in the house or upstairs or bunk rooms or, you know, everybody's together inside. It's safer with young children. And then when the grandparents own the compound, everybody's outside in their own houses, in their, exactly.
You want
and their own
privacy.
space, if they can afford it. But tell me how, you know, the work has changed for all of you. You all have a very different level of visibility this year, specifically. I mean, you two have books out, you have your furniture line, national press for all of you. What are you seeing with different level of attention, or what?
You mean because of those things
Yes.
that have happened? Yeah, I think as I said, I think the book has probably changed all of us. And books are important for visibility. And I think that the magazines are no longer doing a lot of photography themselves. So the photography from our books will end up in different magazines. So that's another form of visibility.
And licensing, I mean, certainly you're,
It certainly, yeah.
I want to bring up a point about the furniture line and how things are changing. Things are getting more expensive, and of course, all the tariffs and everybody's concerned. And I think we're just starting to feel some of the ramifications of these tens of thousands of dollars that are now going to have to be built into budgets. The concerning thing for me is that not everybody can have as beautiful of space anymore. Where your clients would come to you at this level, now they've got to go up a level. So the great thing about these furniture lines is that it makes it more affordable for everybody to have a piece of beauty.
I like that.
And so I think that that's where I see, I think that's, for me, a reward in the work, that everybody can have something that's beautiful to create their own world with. Because things are
it is scary.
things are really scary right now, and I don't mean to be like, but it's, you know, and I do have a question for you. First of all, I want to congratulate you on making everybody a partner,
Yeah, love that.
and I want to give you the
Well,
strength to be
it's-
able to step back when it's time
Well,
to step back, because you're smiling, it's hard, because it's who you've been, and you brought those people together.
But you know, in my firm, they were always integral to the firm.
Of course they are.
They were integral. So it wasn't, and it was my vision to
Right.
bring them all together. And yes, stepping back, it's in many ways it's hard for them to let me go.
Yes, I do believe that, but I hope for the strength
Yeah.
someday,
There's always
strengthen the
there's-
character to step back, because I see a lot, we know of firms where they
Yes.
tried to step back and then they didn't.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean-
there's
Yeah.
always a moment in
If you
time.
really want to open up the
we
gossip
really know.
columns,
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
And we know firms, and it is interesting because because Jill actually helped us walk through, because she knew all the people in our firm.
you're always a phone call away.
Yeah. Well, Jill's now a little hard.
Oh,
But
she's very busy.
But I have seen many partnerships, unfortunately,
Yeah.
not go through,
Yes.
especially in New York. A lot of them have not been successful.
And
And
in stepping back, in their principal stepping back,
yeah, or getting. I mean, legally, we actually were very. They had their lawyers. I had my lawyers. And we really worked it out legally in the beginning. We worked it out economically. We spent a lot of time. That's what the three
That's an
3
important
years
piece
were all
of
about.
information.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
it was very important.
And being very realistic about what each side could handle.
Yeah.
Because you can't put unrealistic things together and think anybody's going to go for it, so.
You know, COVID really, it is interesting how COVID
Yeah.
has changed the world.
Yeah.
Some of it, much of it for the better. because so many families discovered. I mean, I'm hugely involved with gardening, as you can see right there. And I'm involved with the Garden Conservancy, which preserves and protects gardens throughout the country, and also encourages the culture of gardening, because we can all meet in a garden.
I have to say, this
together.
picture, this is Marshall's.
That's my home right there. And those doors are from Atlanta.
Yes.
Well, really,
Yes.
they were French originally. And there's the beautiful Susan Ferrier.
That's a good
I'm also part of his interior.
I was like, was she in your home? She sits around, you sit around every room.
Yeah. But COVID was good for families, and I think this compound concept happened because of COVID, Jill. Because suddenly the families, everyone came back to mom and dad,
Yes.
and they started seeing that they enjoyed living with each other.
One of the challenges of COVID is that now everybody, there's that boundary of reaching people via, Zoom, FaceTime, texting. Like, communication now is easier and it's instant.
Right.
And it's nonstop, and it's hard to unplug. I mean, there was a little separation, before everybody was so comfortable Zooming.
Yeah.
Remember in the beginning when no one knew how to do it and you were looking at people's stomachs?
I still don't know how. I
mean,
still
Marcus,
I can't turn that thing on.
Marcus, you got to have kids who they don't, they look at a rotary telephone. I'm sorry, that's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
A rotary telephone, and your kids can't possibly know how to
I
use
just had the
one.
conversation of explaining, no, you start with the number. Like, my son, he's like, tell me all about that, Dad. The whole thing.
Record players.
This isn't
How
making me
about
feel good about
questions?
myself.
Does anybody in
We
the
have-
audience, these three are pretty open, they're great conversationalists, they're great talkers, they've experienced a lot. Would anybody like to ask them anything? Okay.
I think I saw you first because we are recording.
It'll just sound sultry with a sore
Yes.
throat. It'll be good.
With a beautiful Southern accent.
Yes.
Marshall, this is for you. We just saw your beautiful home, and so reinventing, it's very opulent and beautiful, which I'm sure all of your homes are, but how often do you reinvent your home, your own personal space? How often do you change that? And do you use that as...
Do I use it as a showcase or
Yes.
that
Yeah.
sort of thing?
Yes.
I didn't intentionally. I don't change. I know this is really funny. I believe in home. I mean, I believe in, I've lived in my house in East Hampton. I built it. I still love it. And I built it in 2000. And I still live in it. And this apartment,
It was a long time before
this
you...
is a funny, my apartment in New York, I basically lived my life in East Hampton on the weekends. I was always, I'm a weekend gardener, I'm a weekend in the Hamptons, but in New York, my apartment became my warehouse. And so for so many years, clients always said, well, we'd like to see where you live in New York. And I said, no, you can't come into my apartment. I think...
And he hid from most people that his office and his apartment are very close to each other.
Yeah, they're right across the hall from each other. I bought an apartment opposite, so there are no snow days. So people would, our office was where people would come and understand what we did as interior designer. So this was when I put all my dreams together in this apartment. It's only 750 square feet, and I designed it, and I do use it for clients to come to, but it's really, this is my home, and
It's a jewel
I'm
box.
not doing another.
Beautiful.
I believe in layering. I've never redone my home, but I've layered it. Some things I'm
I understand
currently in the process of editing.
Boy, do I get that.
It's a beautiful, beautiful home that's been published,
Yeah.
and so many different parts of it.
It's really hard to start all over again. I like my clients too.
Yeah, we kind of get our rocks off because
Yes.
we can do it for our clients.
Exactly.
Marcus?
What about you, Marcus?
I mean, honestly, someday I think I should post, the upstairs family room. We
Yeah.
post all the lovely pictures. One day I'd have a series of just reality. What the teenage, I still have sofa that the dog had torn the skirt off of because he was after the dead piece of pizza that my son's friends had left to leave. I mean, so what I like, the reason I get to redo my homes is because we'll take the old rooms and we furnish the kids' apartments. And so that I use that as an excuse because my wife was like, you have a chair disease. And I said, well, and so it's the only bit, so I'll take a whole room and give it to their living room. I'm like, we got to fill it.
So have we all three lived in our homes for a long time then and not changed homes?
15 years.
You, Mark?
I lovingly call it my sheetrock souffle because we moved in only intending to be there 2 years, and I bought and sold 2 lots since then. And now my daughter doesn't want us to leave, so we've been there 11 years, but we're leaving in the next 3. So.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
How long have you been in yours?
My house for 24 years and my apartment for almost 30.
Well, I'd stay there too. We might come move in with you.
750 square feet, just try, baby.
I'm going to find out when you're in New York and just.
New York.
It's amazing.
New York is an interesting place because we're so space starved in New York, and it's so that's why everything when you see the apartment, everything you see it like this, whereas here in Atlanta you have space and you have beautiful homes. By the way, the architecture is amazing.
Yeah.
But in New York you look very closely, so detail's important.
Was there another hand over there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I really enjoyed the incorporation of theater and also the fertility journey in your discussion. For Madam Susan, I wanted to know, have you ever had the opportunity or the privilege to work with a client that wanted to highlight or celebrate fertility through the design process, wanted to have their homes designed in a way that celebrated fertility? And if not, are you hopeful or quietly wishing that you do have that opportunity? And for Sir Marcus, I wanted to know, having that theater background, in
I'm
what...
sorry, you wanted too much 80s music loud. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got the name wrong. For Sir Marshall.
Oh.
For having the theater background, I wanted to know, how does that allow you to work with clients in a way where each room maybe can become its own personal set, its personal storytelling, its own personal play in some way, bringing those theater elements into the design and being able to work with clients in creating their own story through interior design. Thank you.
Can I answer
Wow.
first?
Yes,
Okay.
you should answer first.
I have never.
You're so articulate. You should be up.
I have never had a client that wanted to celebrate fertility, although I would like to think that I do sexy interiors.
Yeah.
There you go.
I want you to walk into those
They're all
rooms
celebrating
fertility. and want to
And want to do it.
and want to get down.
That's so good.
But I'm going to say to you, it's an interesting idea that you brought up. It's very, of the earth,
Yes.
of the Mother Earth. And I would say that, and I'm going to bring it around full circle, I thought a lot about what the earth provides us when I was doing my furniture line. So it is very important to me, that tie to nature and what the earth forms. So that's the closest I can get to answering your
That's
question.
good.
Go on, Marshall.
What? Thank you, Mother Goddess.
You're going to come around.
Do it, yeah. I will.
This would be a good
Gotta
tour.
take my
These
belt
two.
and loafers off for that. You actually answered the question yourself by giving a very good question. The theater is, and because I was a character actor, I had to study transforming to somebody else. I was not a personality myself. I wasn't actually like Meg Ryan. She came on as Meg Ryan. She's always been Meg Ryan, and her charm was just massive. I had to learn how to walk in other people's shoes. And so transforming, and rooms have different functions. And I don't believe, because I'm a New Yorker, I don't believe I can waste space. So every room has to have many meanings, and it has to be meaningful to the client. And the client is always, they always have their personal scripts, and they're always so different. I mean, that's the wonder of life, that these people are so individual, and so are the rooms, and they need to function that way. Did that answer the question? Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's take this conversation up to Design Galleria, Kitchen and Bath Studio, Suite 234. Thank you.
Great.
We'll have a book
Thanks,
signing.
everybody.
So see you